Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Katie. I'm a mixed media illustrator and today we're going to be drawing / painting a violet. Violet is the flower for February and I've been trying to do all the flowers this year, so month 2 and flower 2. So far we're on track. Hopefully we will stay on track. This is a bonus video next to my studio vlogs where I try and get something done in the studio each day. Now I realise you couldn't see any of that I was just drawing, however you can see it a little tiny bit here, but don't worry, I'm about to throw a huge amount of yellow paint onto here and you will see it a lot more. My aim for this video is for it to be nice and chill, so hopefully me talking isn't too distracting. I'm trying to talk quietly, just a little bit of noise behind me drawing here. So one of the main things I wanted to do with this video is to kind of talk you through my process. I feel like my process is probably very akin to other mixed media artists, however I'm not sure my style is quite the same. So here I've started taping down some smooth Bockingford watercolour paper. These were extra offcuts, which is what inspired me to do this project. I have a bigger project going on and I had to cut the paper down to fit exactly what I needed for that project, and thus I had all these perfect square pieces spare, and I thought what best to do than to do a tiny little project with them like this. So the paper is Bockingford smooth and I've just taped some washi tape around it, and then you can see that I've taped micropore tape to the corners because the washi tape doesn't stick great to the wood. However, I like to have the border around the artworks. So the first thing I do is I get the drawing down sort of rough because I'm definitely going to go over the top of it later with the neocolors and some Inktense pencils, and that'll bring out all the sort of the main details and stuff that I want. But I need to know roughly where I'm painting. So I throw a background of yellow and orange watercolours here, mainly because the violets are, well, violet, they're nice and purple, and I wanted the opposite colour for the background. So I decided that yellow and orange were the colours to go for. As you can see, I'm not really being precious about where I'm putting the colours. This is where you really can see the difference between professional watercolour and student grade watercolour. The Winsor & Newton is this really bright and really pigmented, and these are the professional ones. So the orange and the yellow that I've just used is professional Winsor & Newton. And you can see here I'm scrubbing away at a green on my palette, and it's taking way more scrubbing to get the same amount of colour. And look at the colour I get down, I get nowhere near the same pigment and the same strength of colour. So even though for years and years and years I was an advocate of really the quality of it doesn't really matter, and it's true, the quality doesn't really matter because I've been using student grade paint for ages and most of my paintings are made with the student grade paint. They just need a bit more scrubbing, they just need a little bit more activating before you use them. Whereas the professionals, you can go straight in. So here you can see probably the main part of my illustration, although none of the detail comes through in this part, which is really interesting. So I just put down blanket colours for the background and the main parts of the illustration that I'm illustrating. If they're really tiny details, sometimes I'll paint them in and then I won't touch them again. If they're slightly bigger or I don't want to paint them, I will probably use the dAche and Inktense pencils. They can get really nice and sharp, and the chances of me using the neocolors are probably a lot slimmer if it's small details. However, I remember what happened here. My battery died and I'd run out of space on what I was filming with. so I had to delete some stuff, and then I messed up the recording. So unfortunately I've already started with the neocolors here, and you've missed me painting the rest of the flower. So this is really where I start to properly build up my artworks. I've got the base colour down of the watercolour, and then I'm throwing in the neocolors. I'm really pushing the colours that I'm using, so I don't have to use only purples. I'm using a lot of blues. I'm not looking for a perfect representation, because if I wanted a perfect representation of violets, I'd go and find some and take a photo of it. I want my own representation. So I'm really enjoying just throwing colours down and using these neocolors to get all the extra vibrant texture. I'll then go in with dAche pencils, and these, they don't really like going over the neocolors. I'm sort of dealing with it. I wish there was a neocolor that was finer, or a crayon that would go over these, but they were sharp, just like the dAche pencils are. I haven't found them yet. If you know of anything that could potentially be what I'm looking for, do give me a shout. I'm always on the look. So I go in with some white, I go in with some pencil, I go back and forth until I really feel like I've got a good representation of what I'm trying to do. And sometimes I move on to something else, and then I move back to the bit that I'm working on. This is sped up 2 times, so it took me probably about 40 minutes to do this artwork, and it's a 6x6, so it's not a huge artwork. You can see here I'm sort of struggling with these leaves. I've gone a little bit too scratchy in for my liking, and I want it to be a little bit more cohesive, a little bit more blended. So in hindsight, I probably could have gone in with some water, blended those neocolors and those dAche ink tints. Everything I'm using here is water soluble, so if I wanted to I could have. However, I didn't, because I didn't actually think about it at the time. Only now am I thinking about it. So I'm just going in, picking out the colours that I want, really pushing those darks, pushing those lights, seeing how I can create the exact sort of colours that I want. And I'm really trying not to be afraid right now to be scribbly, to be a little bit messy, and to not exactly be committed to what I'm doing before I do it. Just go straight in with something and not quite know how it's going to turn out. And working with these materials, it really is just a push and pull of what I want and where I want it, and seeing which artwork, which materials to use that would potentially get the job done. I've got all the ink tenses now, and there's still some colours that just aren't quite what I want, and sometimes I need it to be nice and sharp, so I need the same colour but in a pencil, because then I can really get that sharp edge, which you just physically can't get with a neocolor unless you sharpen them, but then I feel like you're wasting a lot of it. So we're coming to roughly the end now. I'm going to put some details into the background. I'm just going to finish it off with some highlights. However, I get to the end of this and I kind of like it, I'm happy with it, but I do fiddle with it a little bit longer. So the final piece that I've put on my website is slightly different to this one, but it is more or less the same. I like putting in these details, I like putting in little lines on the edges, and yeah, I'm quite happy with this one. Let me know what you think. If you painted along or if you tried it yourself, do let me know. I'd like to see it. I'd like you to share it in the comments or tag me on socials at KTAmyCreative. I really would like to see what you created. Let me know what you use. Let me know what your favourite materials are, what your least favourite materials are. Have you tried neocolors? Are you thinking about trying neocolors? Yeah, let me know. I'd love to start a conversation about this and what you know, all the materials that you love, because I'm always on the lookout for new materials. Have a good day, have a good week, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.